It's time for us to get started.
So, I think that's great.
Yeah, our presenter today is our own Evelyn Computer Angel Deffner.
Ooh. Good morning, everybody.
Take it away, Evelyn.
Off I go then. Well, this morning I thought we've had a lot of people come in and share with us the things that we should be doing, but not a lot of people have shared how to actually do it. By the way, can you guys hear okay?
Yes.
Yes. Making sure my little earbuds are working pretty well here. So I am doing a presentation on the how-tos and tips of Instagram for your business. Instagram is one of the tools that I use a lot for my art business specifically. And so these are the things that I'll be going over today. There's 8 pieces to all of this. Why a business profile instead of a personal one. Instagram tools that are really useful. If you've ever been to a presentation with Jihu, you know that he talks a lot about, insights and understanding the backside of your traffic and your attendees or participants. The ability to post teasers, Instagram stories. There's been some new features in the last year or two, and stories is one of them. They're really great for a couple of reasons, so I'll share those. How to collect user submitted photos and why you would do that. The whole deal about hashtags, of course, and some rules to your posting when it comes to business. And then my own personal tip, which is, about social media accounts, how to link them up with your Instagram. So the first one, why a business profile? There's some added features that you get when you've got a business profile. One of those is that people can click on your contact button and it'll take them to whatever contact you've created for that account. It also allows you to, publish Instagram ads, which are different from Facebook. Instagram and Facebook are side by side in the world right now. However, Facebook's done a pretty good job of keeping some of that separate. So your ads are your ads and you're not really paying to have those unless you want to promote them further. She was saying, don't promote an ad, just know when to post to your followers. And I think that it really depends on a lot of different things. I've done promotions on Facebook when I was doing Studio Waltz last year, but I have not done it on my Instagram yet. However, the tools are there. Of course, you can make an ad and post it, and it all depends on how many followers you have. Hashtags are going to help with all that, so we'll talk about that in a bit. And then there's analytics that you're given, one of those tools that's going to be really helpful along the way that allow you to track your metrics and understand the audience. And understanding your audience is an important piece, I think, to what we're doing here. So I wanted to show you screenshots of how to get to some of these things. The purple arrows, I'm sorry, they're finger scribbles because I was doing them on my phone. But when you open up your account, and if you have not set it up as a business yet, you'll want to, go to the top area where you can access your settings, and you'll see a button for settings in there, and then it will drop over to an account. And then from there, at the very, very bottom, you'll see switch to a business or a professional account. And that allows you to now have all the features of a business Instagram. Any questions about that? Am I going too fast?
No, that's good.
Michael?
I was just wondering if you wanted to share your screen so that we could see what you're doing on your other computer.
Well, if Instagram is mostly mobile, and yes, you can run your Instagram account, but if I show you from the web, the settings are completely different.
Oh, I see. Oh, really?
And I hadn't figured out didn't have time because I'm on deadlines for 2 different clients right now. So that's why I did the screenshots. It felt a little bit easier. And the nice thing about the screenshots is that when I post this to our website, it'll be a little easier for people to see those steps.
Sounds good.
So, getting your free tools. So once you've set up as a business, now you have access to all kinds of great stuff. You'll see this picture here on the right-hand side. It was one of the posts that I made on my Evelyn Artista site. And now below my post, you can now view insights about how that particular post has had interactions with the public. I'm going to show you more screenshots of that in a little bit. I just want to talk first because the statistics like how many impressions it's made. Impressions, of course, are how many people have accessed it or seen it, and the engagement. Getting a breakdown of the demographics. When you look at insights with Instagram, you can go all the way down and see what age, what the genders are, where their locations are, and where the most active hours are. These are going to be important pieces. If you know that most of the people that are looking at your Instagram are doing it at 3 o'clock on Tuesdays, then that's probably a good time for you to be posting. Of course, this all depends on, if you only post on Tuesdays, then you're only going to get that data. So they recommend that you post once or twice a day. And then specific insights on posts for the week that show you how many impressions you earned for that time period. They show you a week-by-week analysis, and we'll look at those in a minute. And then understanding how users are interacting with your content. Are they commenting? Are they sharing it? Sending it to other people? Do they just like it and carry on? If anybody's ever watched anything by Gary Vee, he's a huge social marketing guy, all over LinkedIn. He was doing Instagram for marketing before anybody even really paid attention to what Instagram was. Same thing with Twitter. And he speaks all over the world about this stuff. And he recommends that interacting with the public is probably one of the best ways to build your followers, to show that, engagement, because it's all about the relationship. So any opportunity you have to create relationships, even though they're through Instagram, I think helps to build your following. And the more that you know about how your users are interacting with your posts, the more you can adjust what you're doing. So let's see, give it a moment to refresh here every time I click my mouse, it takes a second for you guys to see it. So here's some of the samples of what some of this engagement data looks like, or your insights. When you click on viewing insights, or if you go to your profile and look at the full insights that you get, you're going to see a time frame on this very first little slide. You'll see recent highlights, and whether there's been an increase or a decrease in the amount of accounts that have been accessing your data. And it's 7 days compared to the prior week. And how many people you've reached. And as you scroll down, you'll have more data, what content, it'll highlight the content that's gotten the most engagement. How many impressions you've gotten. As you can see, Thursdays and Sundays seem to be hot days for my stuff. And there's so much on here. I wish I could show you all the little pieces and parts, but once you start playing with it and you click on things, be curious, open them up, because they'll often expand, show profile visits, where they're coming from, what age they are. And then there's a great see all for your top posts. And I love this because it'll show you some of the most popular posts that you've posted. This can be useful if you're running out of content. One of the things that I do recognize with Instagram is that my artwork disappears into their feed. People are not likely to scroll through 600 or 700 posts that I've made over the last 2-3 years. So if I see a post, for example, and I don't know if I highlight, if you're going to see where my mouse is falling, but
we actually cannot see your screen right now.
You can't see my screen?
Right. That's what I was trying to say earlier.
We can see your screen too, Evelyn.
Yeah. Really? I wonder where it is.
Michael, what we're seeing is her slides, and we're seeing her mouse move on the slides.
Right. Sorry, and now I bumped forward a couple here. So you should be back on a blue screen that shows four panels. Okay, I found it. It was underneath the main screen. Sorry about that. Gotcha. Okay, so back what I was saying over here, if you look at some of my posts here, for example, there's one here that says I've had 177, or down at the very bottom, I've got a post that had 160 engagements on that particular post. So it's listed as some of the top ones in the last 3 months that have reached people. If that's something I haven't posted for a very long time, it's totally okay to repost that image and bring it back up to the top of your feed and give new people exposure to it. So that is one little wonderful tool that you can use. So how you see your insights, and I took some bigger screenshots that had a little more clarity. This follower breakdown right here is pretty helpful. And I actually screen recorded so that I could show you guys. But you can see the countries and locations, what the age ranges are of the people, both men and women. I can flip back and forth between that data. What percentage is male versus female, who it appeals to. I'm happy that I've got a pretty balanced load of my followers. And then what days of the week, the most active times there are. 12 noon, the research shows that most people are checking things out usually at noon, 2 a.m. and 8 a.m. And usually, and we'll get to that in a minute, I'm going to get ahead of myself here.
Are those times specific to your content or?
Yes.
It is, okay.
Yes, this is all insights based on just my Evelyn Artista. And the last thing, and I almost forgot to talk about, all the way on the right, if you remember a few screens back when I showed you the image of the flowers in the vase and there was a little blue link that says View Insights, that takes you to this little panel where it shows the number of likes, the number of comments you've gotten, the number of shares. That means somebody has said, I want to share this with somebody else, and it's been sent. And 2 people saved me to their favorites, because in Instagram, you can put things in categories and save them or bookmark them. So it shows how many people went to my actual profile to see more about me and how many people I actually reached with that particular post. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Awesome. So then we've got, paying attention to the metrics. You can't improve your Instagram performance and optimize it until you know what your page is doing, how your posts are performing or underperforming, how people are engaging. So they suggest, tracking your follower growth rate, paying attention to how many new people you have. It allows you to see the kind of content that you're posting and how it's affecting things. And I've read all kinds of tools are out there to help you analyze some of this data. One of the recommended tools was Influencer Dashboard. I have not installed that. It's hard enough managing 4 Instagrams and doing the work that I do. So the insights are where I'm sticking right now. Measuring your engagement rates. That's your likes and comments, and then tracking the URL click-through rate. So how many people are actually clicking through to your URL? If you have not put your website on your Instagram profile, you should absolutely do that. And if you don't have a website, but you do have a Facebook page, it's perfectly fine to do that as well, because oftentimes people want to know more about who you are, what you're doing, what you offer, especially if you're selling products or services. And that allows them to then click through to your information. So the average click-through rate is 0.94%. So if you're getting any click-throughs, this is a good thing. Increases in that is always positive. Any questions so far?
No.
No. Okay. So what you're seeing here is bringing on the teasers. I have a cousin who I sent to Chihu over a year ago. She wanted me to do social media work for her, and at the time, I just had too much project work. Her product line is called SEMA Activewear. She actually creates designs and activewear for women, and she's been doing an awesome job of between stories and user created content, and then also teasers. Like she posted, a post about her new line coming in and a picture showing you a little bit of what that line looks like. Of course, she's not saying you have to buy this now. She's just writing, ooh, yes, we've got this, just came in. We're super excited about it. So they consider those teasers to create a little more excitement. She's also been great about, offering information about updating, updated designs and how you can take advantage of sales. And when you share with people, she offers incentives for that. So highlight your product concepts from followers is the other thing. When this next screenshot, you'll see she's got, 2 women there. They're showing off their muscles. They've created part of their story and they tagged SEMA Activewear in there. We're going to talk about this in a few more minutes, but you can basically ask permission to reuse that on your own site, on your own Instagram. And now people are helping to create content for your Instagram if you don't have enough content. So sneak peeks, highlights of products, other people showing your products. When you tease people about that stuff, they get super excited. So another piece to this is Instagram stories. If you look at the screenshot when it comes up, there we go. My little photo, it was part of my profile up here in the top left corner of the screen. There's a glow around my profile, and that indicates that I've created a story. Stories are around only for about 24 hours. So people kind of have to engage with it within that first 24. But it's one way to have fresh content. Now, as you use your account, you'll start to see that you can actually save some of those stories. It's in your own, feed. It disappears for everyone else, but you can go back and recapture them or repost them. Some people are using that with, behind the scenes type work about their brands. It allows you to experiment with different types of content and see how people respond or react to that content. People are using, video and short videos, of course, photos, rewind videos using tools like Boomerang or, there's another one. They allow you, TikTok, of course, has that whole boomerang effect where people are bebopping around. You can do those kinds of things as well. And then, Britt got me started on Canva. And then there's InVideo that both of those you can use to create good content. And then tag other accounts in your stories, So for example, if Renee decided to buy one of my paintings for her office, she might be sitting with the painting behind her, and tagging me in that story that she creates. Look at this awesome piece of work I just got from Evelyn Duffner. If you're not following Evelyn Artista, you got to go see. And that gets posted to her Instagram. Her followers are like, wow, that's an awesome piece of work. And 24 hours, my little thing is gone. Hers might be gone, but I now have access to that tag that I can then share on mine and say, look, Renee just shared this awesome painting. Look at how beautiful it looks on her wall. Does that make sense? So,
yes, and I noticed that this presentation is being recorded. So Renee, that'll be there for you.
It's so funny. She's a mind reader because Sean and I are sitting here talking and we're like, I wonder if she'll do a mermaid, or I wonder if she'll do a couple jellyfish for us. So that's so funny that you said that.
I love that. Well, I just, the screen shifted here and the animation stopped. But basically, I had created my own little moment. And I actually put it in the category of teachable moment because I do like talking about creativity and I need to start tagging things. But the post that I made for the Florida Business Incubator got shared to my account. And then I went and shared it again. So this now is on my feed. And then this morning I shared to my Techie. So another group of people could then see that I'm sharing this morning. So it was just a fun way to spread that around. And I'm clicking on the wrong screen here. So how do you create a story? I have my Techie account here because my other one already had a story in it. So I lost that for the screen. But there's a little plus sign by your profile. And when you tap that, it opens up the ability for you to then put in a photo or a video or content that you have. You can add words to it, as I did here. Who would have thought I'd be doing a presentation? I tagged myself in it because I was doing it from Techie. So I tagged Evelyn Artista. They've got cute little animations that can be added in. And then I can then decide when I'm ready and I say, okay, I'm ready to send it. Down at the bottom, there's a send to. It asks me, do you want to send it to your close friends? Is there somebody specific you want to send it to? Or do you want to put it on as your story? And you'll see there's a little drop down. I just realized this now that I'm staring at this screen. Looks like there's a drop down about sharing it to your Facebook page. One of the things that I love about Instagram is that I can add my Twitter, I can add my Facebook, I can add my Tumblr, and when I post to my Instagram, I can opt to post to those 3 other places. So now all of them have fresh content. So I just took a picture of the screenshot that happens after, now that we're first story, they give you the option to quickly go in and edit some of the settings on how those things are shared. But you'll be able to always change those settings in the future. So let's see, waiting for the screen to refresh. So my next one is about collecting user submitted photos. So what this looks like is, Renee went ahead and posted a picture of her office with a piece of artwork. And I then contact Renee and say, hey, I love that picture. Can I put it on my own Instagram? I do a lot of traveling and I do tag locations a lot and organizations when I'm there. So you'll see in the screenshot, I had gone to the Ringling, and I love I love that museum quite a bit. The stained glass in the old train car that they had was a photo that I'd taken. And I got an instant message from them through Instagram asking, hey, this was a great photo. Thank you so much. We'd love to be able to share this on our social media, of course, tagging you and giving you credit. And so somewhere in the mass of content, my photo is sitting on their page. So I helped to create content for them because they were borrowing from me. And of course, that gives me exposure. I'm like, sure, take the picture, share it, just make sure to tag me and I'm happy. It's a good way it's a win-win for everybody, essentially. So some things that you want to pay attention to. I have some rules. Of course, ask permission, make sure you tag them. I've been getting better and better. I do nude night every year if they accept my work. And I love a lot of the artists' work. I have to remember, if I don't know their Instagram, I definitely put their name in so that hopefully, they'll find that I've posted about them. Make sure when you're posting other people's content, pay attention to their own profile. Going back to nude night, there's a whole range, a whole spectrum of people that attend these art events, from serious collectors to swingers. It's all the way across the board. And if I'm taking and sharing a photo from somebody, for example, who has a tremendous amount of artwork that isn't reflective of my own values in art and my own perspective in art, I may not want to start directing people to that particular profile. How does that impact my reputation and how I'm perceived? So those things I have to think about when I'm reposting stuff. Also, how big of a following do they have? I mean, there's a lot of suggestions to get Instagram influencers involved in your work, offering them, free exposure on your page if they'll share back and forth, and people will do that. So that's the piece to that. User submitted photos. I was showing you Vanessa's work with SeamAware. She does a lot of that as well. A lot of her content now comes from her own purchasers or clients. So number 6 on this list is growing your follows with hashtags. This whole hashtag thing, people always ask me, do I really need to use all these hashtags? They're completely obnoxious. Some people write their entire post in hashtags, which can be a little extreme sports. But basically, it's a label for your content. And Twitter was the first to use hashtags. And what it allowed was that when you're on Twitter and you're searching, you can actually search a hashtag and you'll get content from anybody who's ever used that particular hashtag. In Instagram, that's awesome. I hashtag a lot of my work abstract art. I'm also following modern art and abstract art. Much like they were a profile, they're not. I'm following the hashtags. So I get work from internationally to view. And that allows me to build my feed also of things that I enjoy looking at and inspiration. So thinking about Betty, I was noticing with real estate people, when they're often posting, Instagram is great for real estate because you can take a carousel of pictures of a house that you just put on the market, and then to hashtag it Dunedin real estate. If anybody's actually following that, they're going to start seeing that feed. And I copy hashtags. I go and look at artists who are getting a good following, and I start getting curious about what hashtags are they using when they're posting their work, because that will also allow me to add that same kind of hashtag to my work and start getting people. A lot of people find me because I do abstract and the hashtags that I'm using. Let's see. And then definitely pay attention to reusing the ones that work really well for you. So here's how hashtags work. My screen is waiting to refresh here. Hopefully you'll get that in a second. There you go. How to integrate those hashtags. So if you go to the lower left corner of your Instagram, you'll see the little search bar. And, you know, it's got a couple of options. I've actually done tags for hashtags. You can search for top posts, accounts, places specifically. But I went to tags and I just looked for art. As you can see, as soon as I click on art or abstract painting, I have a screenshot here, I can actually opt to follow that particular hashtag, which will then start showing up in my feed and expose me to other people. People do this a lot. So I am growing my following simply because I've picked good hashtags and people have been interested in that tag and they find my work and then they like it. And then if they like it enough, they actually end up following. So my last little screen here was, you know, just some of the hashtags that I'm using along the way for my posts. Any questions on the hashtags?
It sounds like that a hashtag might be made several times by different people. Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. So
Absolutely.
hashtag art, internationally, we're talking millions and millions of users daily. So when I follow that particular tag, you know, my feed is, I can never, it's just endless.
The way to use that too, though, Michael, is, I mean, if you've done your research up front and you know what are the key words that are critical to whatever it is that you're trying to promote, then you should create and you should look and do research on those hashtags, and you may use those hashtags as part of your, you know, like, for example, small business owner, those are things because those are my target audience. So I follow those hashtags religiously, and everything I post has those hashtags in it.
Right. And when you start to create a hashtag, Instagram's going to make suggestions of hashtags that are used with those letters. So if I start typing ART for art, it'll say art, artist of Instagram, artist, and it'll give me a list and it'll show how many posts have been under that particular hashtag. So if you're looking at posts that have millions versus hundreds, that tells you how frequent that hashtag is being used and how much is being watched.
Right.
Interesting.
So,
Thank you.
Two things. One, I'd love to get a copy of these slides, Evelyn.
They're going to be posted up there. I already, you know me, I've been posting all of our stuff online. So.
All right, cool. And Michael, you don't want to just pick the hashtags. Evelyn, what would you say about this? You wouldn't want to just pick the ones with the biggest number of users, because you'll be a grain of sand lost in an ocean.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. So that's why, you know, I always post artist of Instagram because I get a lot of follows from that. But I also post to ones that are not quite so busy. Maybe they have thousands versus millions.
Right.
And I do find that people find me that way.
Right.
So let's see. So the worst days to post are Wednesdays and Sundays. On mine, Sundays are a good day. That's why looking at your own personal insights is a little more important than just looking at the research. But they do say the best days to post are Mondays and Thursdays. Times of day, 8 to 9 a.m. because people are getting ready for work. So they're usually popping into their social media and entertaining themselves between brushing teeth and combing hair and getting breakfast. And then 2 a.m. when folks are up scrolling through Instagram when they should actually be sleeping. For those people who wake up at 2 a.m. randomly, sometimes,
Good way to put you back to sleep, right?
Right, maybe, unless it's good art. Good art might not put you back to sleep. So
Or
schedule
relaxes you if nothing else.
Exactly. So schedule your posts with tools like, Hootsuite or CoSchedule or Sprout. I'm waiting for Instagram to put that feature in for business accounts that allow you to schedule your posts up front instead of having to use another tool. I'm sure it's in the works. So they also say you should post between 1 and 2 times per day, but no more or less. Some people make the mistake of posting a ridiculous amount on a daily basis. And what that can do is that can inundate somebody's feed with a lot of stuff. So if they're following you and now you're posting 20 selfies, which I've unfollowed people because their feed was ridiculous. That's all I was getting was selfies. Then you're more apt to lose your followers. You want to keep them and just keep reminding them that you're out there. So if you want to post a whole series, here's an example. During this whole COVID thing, I have been cooking like there's no tomorrow. And I've been posting my food online because my family is all quite impressed lately. They're like, wait, you cook? I'm like, they're never here to eat any of my cooking. But I use the carousel. So instead of posting, tons and tons of pictures and filling my Instagram feed with tons of food, I do what's called the carousel. And I think if I click here, we should be able to get that up. So the carousel, when you go to make a post, and it doesn't matter if you've got a personal or business Instagram, come on now. Right under your image, there's 3 little icons. The first one is for something called Boomerang, where you can take a series of bursts on your phone and make them do the back and forth, going forward and backward. The second one is for breaking up your screen and having multiple pictures in a screen. I don't care for that one much. It looks cool, but I can't enjoy the images as much when they're in this tiny, tiny little square. So I use the carousel, which is that last little third one that looks like layers. And what it lets you do then is select multiple pictures. So here's my first one, here's my second one, here's my third one. And then when I'm ready to click next and I've finished activating my post, you'll know that it's a carousel because up in the top corner of the image, usually it tells you how many slides there are. This one didn't capture that for me, but this one has basically 3 slides. With my artwork, I'm always showing progressions, where I started and where I ended, because I think it's kind of fascinating to see my painting when I start as the ugly teenager all the way until the beautiful final product. So you'll see those little dots that indicate, and then viewing your insights will also give you some perspective on how many people are engaging with all of that. My last slide is the same thing. When you hit that view insights, once again, you get some perspective on how many, and I'm sorry, I'm trying to see my other screen there. With this one, it had 45, 9, and 7, because on my laptop, I'm definitely not seeing the stuff. Questions? Cool.
This is great so far.
Good. So the last one I have on my slides is sharing to your other social media. I was reading all these experts' recommendations, and I couldn't find anybody saying, by the way, set up your business account to also share to your other services. So if you have a Facebook, a Twitter, or a Tumblr, or all 3, and there are some other international accounts there that I've never seen before, but it's not hard to do that. When you open up your settings, you'll see an option in there under your account. There's linked accounts. And in that linked account, you'll see that you can then, mine are already activated, so I didn't want to deactivate them and go through the hassle. But you can click on each one and it'll take you through the process of validating that account. And then I can send it to my Evelyn Artista Twitter. I can send it to my Facebook page and my specific Tumblr account. Then when I go to make an actual post, you'll see those options in the bottom. As you can see, I have multiple Instagram accounts. So there's a list here between, the Florida Business Incubator and Gizmo Licky Face the dog and whatnot. But below that is the list of my social media accounts that I can then choose to send this data to.
Might want to note here that when you're sharing to Facebook, right, you're sharing to your business page or your professional page, whatever type you've set up.
And not your personal, right.
And,
so when you initially set it up, they'll ask you, what page do you want to send it to?
Right, you can't send it to a profile. So, which is your personal thing. So on Facebook, you have to have also set up a page. before you try to link them.
Right. When it comes to the business account, they don't want you posting to your personal profile. That's correct. And they do. And it's funny because if you're on Facebook and you're liking people's Instagrams that have been posted to Facebook, they try to push you to open an Instagram. When you do your business on Facebook, they offer that as an option to create a mirrored Instagram. Most people just bypass all that extra stuff and don't pay attention. But it's nice. Now, one of the challenges is, my Instagram is Evelyn Artista, but I couldn't do Evelyn Artista as my business page. It had to be Artista Evelyn, unfortunately. So, I've had a couple of clients that I've been working with that are now seeing the challenge of that, trying to get all their social media accounts to be the same. But there you have it. If you have any questions, you know where you can find me.
Good stuff.
I have a question.
Yeah. Hi, Joan.
Hi. I've never used Instagram before. I'm pretty minimal in what I have managed to engage in with social media. And there's so many options out there. If I were to choose one or two to really focus on, because there's just no way I could try to use many of them. Is Instagram one that, the way from your presentation, which is the first time I've really seen it, it looks like a nice tool. So what of all the choices, which ones are the top couple that
for me
it
has been Instagram because especially for my art, it's always been a great tool for artists to post their art. And I have sold work because of things that I've posted to my Instagram. My cousin who's selling product line, she's also found that her Instagram has probably been the most successful because it's imagery. Right now Facebook is inundated with, politics and ads and, there's just so much rigmarole to sort through. You do get lost. But on Instagram, it's about who's following you and what hashtags you're using. And you can show up in a feed simply because you've used the right hashtag that's given you exposure. And I've always told people there's great ways, it doesn't matter what industry you're in. If I were to think about computer consulting work, it wouldn't be difficult for me to have a Computer Angel Instagram and on there, posting some of the tools that I'm using to fix things for clients or showing the problems that people have and then how we've resolved them, or just tips and tricks to use on their computer on a daily basis. There's a guy that I love. It's I'm trying to remember his feed, but instead of 50 shades of gray, it's like 50 shades of and he uses a computer term. And so all of his stuff has those, sort of subtle little suggestions that are flirtatious, but they're all related to problems with Windows. And they're hilarious to read. And people follow him, and he has a business as a consultant, but people follow him just for the humor of that. I have some friends that are all related in a massage center. And I'm like, you could during COVID-19 and everybody's home, show people how they can self-soothe themselves with the, computer neck, what are some exercises you can do to stretch out? It's just a matter of being creative and looking at snippets, whether it's just a photo or short video. And video is very powerful. I get more engagement from my videos, as dorky as they are, than I do from just my images.
It's image based, and in a lot of cases, people will say, "Well, you can't use it." You'd be surprised. I use Instagram. I'm a management consultant, so how the heck do you use for a management consultant? Well, if you look at my Instagram feed, most of the stuff I'm posting on my Instagram feed are their images and their inspirational quotes. Okay. And then they have the image that kind of goes with it. Like this morning, I think I posted one on innovation or something or another like that. And it's like, it's a lightning. I mean, it's a beautiful image of a lightning bolt, like striking or, on the ground or whatever. And then there's a little, then there's a small saying that kind of goes along with it. But I mean, that's a perfect example of how, people seeing those things and, people that are that look for inspirational kind of things say, oh, this guy's inspirational or whatever. What else does he do? And that's kind of, you're not going to get hundreds of thousands of people or whatever, but it piques people's interest and it's another way to draw people into what it is that you do. So,
that's very helpful because I've been thinking,
trying to figure out.
Now, like, what kind of images go with my business? Because, but just do quotes and so on like that. And I do have short videos.
Sure.
And I think the short videos are really helpful. And Michael, the work that you're doing with how messy we can be as human beings. It's an awesome topic. It really is. People are fascinated by just look at how many people watch reality television. So, if you tackle it from that place of seeing, this is where our pain points are. Let me talk to you about, and make a list. Gloria did that for our podcasts. Make a list of all these little areas and then brainstorm quick ways that you might be able to represent that in a post.
Interesting. Thank you. I mean, this is really very helpful because I've just had the thought.
I'm good at coming up with ideas.
Yeah.
Now making them, I'm like John Espy, who's like, but putting them into action sometimes for my own work is a little challenging.
Nah, I get it. That's why I have a job, right? Because I'm good at helping people and get things implemented. I think Evelyn's right on track. I mean, Michael, that's the way that I've used it. So, think about, from a messaging standpoint, what are the messages that you use that attract people to what it is that you do, or that say, yeah, I need some of that. Mm-hmm. So, what are the problems? What are the results that people get and that sort of thing? Make a list of those things. And then visually, what are the things that you would use to represent those things? And as a result of those give you those headlines that you need. Because that's all all I use Instagram for is to say, yeah, that's what it is that I want. Well, if you click on it, then it takes you to a blog post that gets into more detail, or tells you how to solve that problem or take advantage of whatever that opportunity is that I've kind of posted there.
Interesting. So then you use Instagram to take people someplace else.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. That's the whole point.
Cool.
That's a lot of times people don't understand how to use Twitter too. It's too short. Yeah, because you're not trying to
write a book.
You're not trying exactly. You're not trying to write an article there. All it is a headline, okay, that would capture somebody's attention and say, yeah, I'm interested in that. Good, click. It's like Twitter's like a billboard.
Well,
and Instagram's the same thing, only the visual account of that as opposed to more of a textual based kind of thing. So
and you can post teasers that are questions instead and get engagement that way.
Get engagement.
Right. Sally and John are struggling in the office yet again. Here it is. She feels like his keyboard's too loud.
And make a story of it.
That's a cool. That's a cool idea, Evelyn.
It is.
Actually,
yes.
That'd be really
because
I'd follow that.
I'm a very visual person. I'm a storyteller as well. I love writing, but that's just it. When you write, you have to make it juicy. You have to make people be curious about going into depth about whatever it is that you're offering. So giving them a snippet on Instagram is the teaser. And then taking them to your page to see what you offer is what you're really trying to get them to do. So if you're doing blog posts, why not create a teaser for a blog post that gets them thinking, oh gosh, Sally's keyboard is too loud. Oh my gosh, I totally don't like this. And send them over to read more about how to handle their typewriter anxiety.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Now we've talked about short videos. Short is what's the maximum length?
Best a minute. Under a minute.
Under a minute. Wow.
Yeah,
Under
that's
a
what I
minute.
heard. Under 1 minute.
Under 1 minute. Now you can, as a business profile, post something longer, and then you'll see that it comes up and says watch more if people want to see more. But if you haven't been succinct and interesting in that first minute, nobody wants to watch the rest of your video. So, Kathy, you keep looking like you have something to say.
Well, one, I wanted to apologize for being late because I didn't want to miss your awesome presentation. So I'm glad you'll be sharing the slides and the recording as well, I hope?
Yes.
Awesome. Perfect. Because I will re-listen. And I guess why I'm looking about sharing is because I just got off a call with a gentleman that's in the UK, and they specialize in this group that I'm in and I'm learning more about is all about digital marketing agencies. And they said the absolute number one most important thing if you're to be a digital marketing agency or have a client that needs your services is that you must have great content writing. If you don't have that, like you said in the video, if the video content is not going to attract the people in the first minute or whatever, your efforts at your content will fall flat. So that was the number one thing that they said is copywriting and that kind of stuff. So just thought I'd share.
Thank you.
Yep.
The second they said is must know your niche and target to your niche instead of a shotgun approach.
Right.
Evelyn.
Yeah.
Organic or fee-based? Which do you do a little bit of both, or you pay for ads on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, or you mostly do organic posts?
When I've had events, I have bothered to spend a couple of dollars to help promote them. But the problem is I haven't quite seen how Facebook fully utilizes that. I don't know that it's made any difference at all. I like organic, and I like getting people excited about what's coming. When I had my art opening over at the Scone Age, I was stunned to see that a former student from 10 years ago showed up, drove out from Orlando to come to my little rinky-dink opening over at the coffee shop because he got excited about me posting repeatedly, hey, I've got this coming, I got this coming. So I think, reminding people repeatedly, and just because you posted doesn't mean that people are going to look at your particular profile and look at your stuff. They're looking at their list of stuff that falls in front of them. If they're engaging with your stuff a lot, your stuff is going to show up more for them. But if they're not engaging and they're just looking, you're losing out. So repeatedly posting and having fresh material. But when I'm posting about an event, I just don't use the same, image. I try to create other interesting images.
Okay, thanks.
I can speak to the Facebook ads. Sean and I used to own a dog biscuit business, and we did try doing a Facebook promotion, and it told us that we would reach between 4,000 to 5,000 users. And honestly, it ended up coming back to 1,000. So they didn't even promise what the ad had said. So we stopped doing that right away.
Well, the other problem that people have is, because I'm actually going through this right now. So we're not talking about Instagram anymore. We're talking about Facebook, but I've got Facebook ads running. And the problem that people don't understand, and I've said this before, is marketing is all about testing. There are so many variables that you have to test as a part of that. I spent $66 last week on something that I know everybody needs. It can potentially get in front of 4.2 million people. Okay, 2,000 people saw it. Maybe 10 people clicked on it, and I had 3 people that actually downloaded the free book. Okay. And I spent $66 to do that. But what I did find out was of the 6 ads that I ran, there was one headline that stood out, okay? Because that's the one that everybody that downloaded, it was off the same headline and the same image, okay? So what did I do this week? I got to spend again. I changed up the images. I added some other things that were along that same. You have to spend money, and that's the only way that you figure out. You have to go in front of 1,000 people and thousands of people on a regular basis and get a statistical sample that's large enough to be able to tell you, hey, this is what it is, that you got. And, the message is the right message. The headline is the right headline. Once you stumble upon that, then you don't change it up anymore because now it's become systematic. I know when I need 20 people to see my stuff, if I run this, I can spend this amount of money and I'm going to get those 10 people that I'm looking for. But it's an experiment to get there. Most people don't want that. They want to say, I'm going to do this, spend this, and this is what I'm going to get. It doesn't work that way. And that's why people struggle forever with their marketing, because over and over again, I'm just going to throw this and I'm going to throw this and I'm going to throw this. And it's like, well, if you're throwing stuff at 4 walls as opposed to, just like you said, the more targeted you are, then does that resonate with those people or not? Most of what it is that we come up with is our best guess at what things are. You got to use a scientific method. That's a hypothesis. You got to test the hypothesis now, which means that's going to take some time, going to take some money, going to take some energy. If you're not willing to put those things in, then just like Kathy said in the past, hire somebody to do it, but that's going to cost you money too. So it doesn't matter what you're going to do. If you don't invest in your business and in yourself, nothing is going to come of it, period.
And if you hire somebody to do it, it's like hire the people to do the work that you're not good at,
right? So
that you can focus on what you're good at. That's kind of my philosophy.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not good at accounting, so hey, Carl,
right. Exactly.
So it's that kind of thing, and I believe that strongly, which is why I hired Chihu to help me get started. I learned so much, and I've been using Instagram a long time, but I learned a lot more about the hashtags and the impact of that by seeing what he was doing. That changed how I started posting, and I took those a little bit more seriously. And Kathy made a remark here in the chat, that in her groups, they are saying Facebook ads can be very powerful. And I agree with her. It's just that most people don't know what they're looking at with the data or how to integrate that data into their next steps.
Right.
And much like Dino is talking about, he got, this is a headline that people seem to really respond to. Clue in, maybe this is something I need to reuse in some other capacity. And that can make that, so now if you invest that headline in another piece of, ads that you're paying for, you're going to have even more following.
Right. But it's a process. And
it is.
So we need somebody who can show us how to do all that. And Dino, that sounds like you know how to do this stuff, huh?
Now, does Dino have the time with all the other presentations he's working on?
Show us how to do what stuff? The marketing or
the analysis? No,
right,
that would be
test your marketing.
Yeah, I would say that would be, Chihu would have been great at that, but Chihu wants you to hire him to do it. But yes.
Bob would probably be happy to do something along those lines. He does that stuff all day long. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It is good stuff. If you have somebody who really understands what they're looking at,
marketing,
they can clear it up.
And that's why I said this.
Yeah.
What I just talked about, that's one little piece of an integrated marketing strategy. I'm looking for, the other pieces we keep talking about. Well, should I advertise on Facebook? What that tells me is you don't understand your customer. Where do your customers consume information or look for what it is that you do? If it's not on Facebook, then you shouldn't be advertising on Facebook. Okay. You're wasting your money. I use Facebook because small business owners tend to go on there. It may not even be the best place, but I know the amount of money that I got to spend in order to figure out what's the right headline, that resonates with that group, that's the best way to test that. Now, once I figured that out, probably a better place for me to hang out is LinkedIn. But LinkedIn's advertising is way more expensive than Facebook's advertising is. So I use Facebook to test, figure out who it is. Now, when I know exactly who I need to put that in, which is what Kathy was talking about earlier, I know who my niche is. I know who I'm talking to. I can focus in specifically and I can say, okay, there's only 1,000 people here, but they're exactly the people I need to be talking to. And it's okay to talk to 1,000 people that I know all absolutely want and are looking for what it is that I've got. I don't need 4.9 million business owners anymore because I know of those 4.9 million, who are the 1,000 that would really be interested in what it is that I have to offer.
I have a question. I was wondering, I'm hearing about all the different social media options, but what about using email and your email, your email list and reaching people that way?
You don't use one thing.
Right. It's never just one
many
thing.
things. You got to use many things. Yes. So I send an email newsletter to the folks that I have on my email list. Okay. But I got to build that email list. Where are those people going to come from? So that's why I do these other things. So as people are downloading my ebook, right, they're getting added to my newsletter list. And so my newsletter list is growing. So this isn't, I'm going to advertise and I'm going to close business. This is about, there's 10 steps to get people to buy what it is that I've got. But I got to get people through that, what they call a funnel, right? It's a marketing funnel.
And you don't want your list to grow cold because then it takes a lot longer to get them re-engaged and if they're part of your niche.
Yep.
Hey, Renee, you were going to say something, weren't you?
I was just going to say that definitely when we had the dog biscuit business, the Facebook and the Instagram was definitely the best way to go. What I was disappointed in is what they promised versus what was delivered. But I think you guys are right too, that I didn't probably know how to use it from an analytical standpoint.
Right.
But Carl, just so you know, like if you ever see, those ads on Facebook where it shows that somebody's sponsored, that's what happens when you pay for an ad, you become sponsored.
Right.
So you at least do get your content out there. But yeah, I don't think I really understood how to use it. For the cost, though, the cost was definitely worth it to do what Dino and Evelyn are saying and Kathy by looking at the analytics of it and pinpointing who your target market is.
Right.
For the cost that you're going to pay, even to reach 1,000 people, it is worth it that way. We just didn't get, the first time I did it, I was disappointed with the results. I thought I was going to get better results. And I don't remember getting any business from that.
Well, and the analytics part that you're talking about, Renee, is a good portion. I mean, from, simplifying that stuff, because quite frankly, the analytics that they give you with all of these things, the reason that people don't look at them is they're overwhelming, okay? Yeah. They're giving analytics for somebody that is a marketing expert because they're trying to fine tune and refine and everything else. From a business owner standpoint, really understanding what it is that you want, there's two things that are part of the revenue engine that we say. You have to understand the efficiency of your marketing and the effectiveness of your marketing, okay? Efficiency is how much is it costing you per person in order to find those people that you're finding, okay? But on the flip side of that, so that's trying to figure out, am I talking to the right people, okay? And then the other thing is your marketing effective, okay? Is it saying the right thing to those people that you need to be saying? And there's two different metrics that you need to look at that will tell you what's wrong with whatever your ad is.
So I also want to say, the people who tend to build the biggest followings are the ones who are really creative with how they market themselves on Instagram. And Gary Vee talks about TikTok being the next best thing, but I am just having one heck of a time I don't even want to go there. But when you were talking about the dog biscuit business, I'm like, oh my gosh, Instagram is ideal because Gizmo Licky Face has followers. I don't know where they came from, but people like looking at dogs and cats and animals and the funny things that they do.
Right.
And the other thought that I had was, my business card has my dog on it. He's like my little mascot. He's my business partner. And I could totally see integrating a mascot that's irrelevant to your actual business, but helps to promote it.
Sure.
So if you're selling socks, run around with pictures, put sock on the dog's head, sock on the dog's tail, go for different walks, do something that engages people and grabs their interest. And now they're interested in your socks. There's great ways to be creative with those things, because people when I taught college, I used to start first term every year and I'd say, well, I learned a lot about teaching adults from teaching kindergarten. And my students would say, are you insulting us saying we're like kindergartners? And I said, do you like to be entertained? Like to be entertained, then you're just like a kindergartner. And it really, my classes were always packed to the hilt because, it's like song, dance, story. Let's make this material interesting in some way that makes you excited about it. And I always approach things that way.
Right.
I would just like to add in the area of followers, something that I didn't know and realize until I got associated with this group. It's great to have followers, but that's not the ultimate outcome. And if it is, then there's a problem there because you're spending time and not getting a true result. So for instance, the leader of this group was looking at a Facebook group that had 250,000 followers in it. And his strategy is, rather than trying to just organically acquire followers, which takes a long time, he says, let me go find a group that I could take over admin rights to and then market to them because they are meeting my, and there's members in it that meet my niche. So he reached out to this admin owner of this 250,000 Facebook group, and he said, hey, would you entertain an idea of maybe letting go or selling your admin rights to this Facebook group? And the guy had been doing it for years and years, and he was really getting bored with it and burnt out with it because trying to keep it going because you got to keep posting, right, to keep it active. And so he had a conversation with the guy, and the guy said, yeah, you know what? I'm kind of bored with it. I'm ready to move on to something. And he whipped out a price of $250,000 to the leader of the group that I'm in. And the leader of the group said, well, how'd you come up with that valuation? He goes, well, $1 a head, I figure. And so the next question that the leader asked was, well, how much have you generated in income off of this group? The answer was nothing.
Nothing, yeah.
And so then he was able to say, well, I don't know how I could do that, right? Pay for a group that you haven't been able to generate any income off of. So I'll offer you $1,500 and I'll offer it to you in 60 days. I'll give it to you in 60 days, but I'll take over it now. The guy said yes, because what did he have to lose? He was tired of the group, all of this kind of stuff. So then the leader took over the group. He had products or services that he could offer to the group. He did that. He made sales, already made the $1,500 to that group, and was able to pay the guy right off from. So I'm learning strategies like that really make much more sense than us trying to really slowly get to where we want to be. Because I used to be a turtle. I want to start being a rabbit.
Well, I do appreciate the organic, build of for an artist perspective. One of the things that I don't know how, I got half of the followers. I hired Chihu to build my follower list from, I think I was at 200 and we hit about 5 in a couple of months. And I don't have a huge following, but from there, you know, a lot of them, I was following a lot of people that I had no interest in seeing their work. They weren't artists. They weren't, you know, it was just another thing to follow. So I don't know how all that got created, but I do appreciate now that my feed has like equalized and my followers have equalized to include people who are actually following me for whatever reason they have versus just adding to whatever. I'm appreciating the engagement aspects of that. You know, now I'm engaging with people who are, you know, here for a reason, and I'm here to give them, you know, to fill a need in some way.
Well, and there's nothing wrong with organic, but the point here, this guy had this group for I don't know how many years, and built it up to 250, and he liked it for a while because he was engaging and felt like he was providing value.
A lot of work,
stuff like that, for nothing, nothing. Yeah.
Okay, great conversation. It's 10:15, so I've got a question for this group. What other topics would be of interest while we are doing these virtual sparked hikes? Anybody got any thoughts about stuff that they would like to actually learn about?
Well, I know that this group is about growing, right? Kind of growing the businesses. And I know Dino has I haven't witnessed his course or his book yet. But my topic is that I'm really interested in is scaling businesses and how to do that. And not just the how-to part, because you also have to have the mindset and the vision and the desire to want to scale a business. But those would be topics that I would.
So scaling a business.
Mm-hmm.
Other ideas, please.
I enjoy learning about social media. So I would more like maybe on the video aspect of it. What makes it interesting versus videos that suck and videos that don't suck. Maybe if we could take homework assignments and maybe share some of this stuff. A lot of it is like we're watching this stuff, but maybe if we had a group activity where we had to bring something and put either maybe some of our photographic work or our ideas out there, and we had to be able to share that, and then people could like poke holes in that, and you get the brutal reality of like you're not really a Cecil B. DeMille's.
So kind of a testing process.
Yes, we have to bring some work to a group, and we're on the hook for getting past the group. And if that get past the group, then perhaps you might use it to attract customers. But you got to explain what you're trying to do with this. What is your goal? Where are you going with this? Maybe it's an ad, maybe it's some Twitter posts or some videos. What's your plan, Stan?
It sounds like you want to do some concept work, come with your ideas, get feedback on those ideas, and then.
Yeah.
Well, we've all been sitting like, lumps of coal on taking it all in. What are we doing with it,
Yeah.
Well, if I remember correctly, didn't one of the meetings say that somebody knew somebody in the local area that was really good with videos?
Yeah, sure. There's a bunch of them around.
Tony Rockcliffe, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So maybe he could facilitate that group.
Mm-hmm. Sean and Renee, what could you folks use?
Well, before we started the process of buying a business, it would have been great to know like the ins and outs of what to expect and kind of like a little bit of an outline. But I think we're kind of paving that for ourselves right now. So hopefully maybe at some point we'll be able to present on that on a high level. And right now we're just sponges. So we're taking anything and everything and like anything that everybody says, we just listen and we take it all in. And this group has been so helpful for us. So anything, I know, Michael, that's not the answer that you wanted, but
that's okay.
and really for us, anything. We're learning so much.
Well, it's interesting because topics will be presented that we hadn't thought of yet. And then we're like, oh, we can totally use that. So I think that's what we're trying to say too, is that we don't even really know at this point. We're just kind of taking it all in.
Sure. Right, and there seems to be some interest in the marketing analytics piece for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. How about you, Rick? What would be of interest to you?
Like Sean and Renee, I'm a sponge at this point, slowly soaking all this stuff up.
Okay.
My challenge is that I'm a digital immigrant rather than a digital native. And so...
say what that means.
I still have a VCR that goes 12 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 12 o'clock. And so, the kids today that are doing a lot of this stuff on the Instagram and Facebook, and they grew up with this, and that's all second nature to them. And for me, it's a learning curve.
Yeah.
And
I have to argue, we are all growing up with this together. I have to say, I'm 50. And I had the advantage of a dad who had computers in our house in the late 70s, early 80s. We had a network late 80s in our home. I had no idea. I hated computers. I swore I'd never touch one. It would never be part of my life. They were horrible. They took my dad's time. And lo and behold, here I am teaching people how to use computers. So I'm one of the anomalies in there because people my age often don't feel comfortable with technology the way I do. But we are all growing up with it still. And I think our kids are they just have creative minds about how to utilize this stuff because now they can be the center of attention with their selfie on an Instagram, and that's a good thing if they know how to use it well. And we are just not comfortable with that because we've been told that self-attention is, not okay. It's vain. It's, it's self-fulfilling. And it's not true. In marketing, we have to look beyond that and get past our discomfort and play with it and put down our guard. I'm totally willing to be goofball because, life is too short not to be laughing, even if I'm laughing at myself. So I integrate that into everything that I do. If anybody knows me, they know I'm a goofball. I make weird faces. But
you don't come across that way on your social media platform. In fact, I think I've said this before. All of your content is value added, right? So that's what I've been trying to really do as a person on my own for my own personal branding is to say before I want to post something, I always ask, am I adding value? Because if I'm not adding value, I just won't. I just don't. I refrain
Renee,
from it.
Sometimes we don't know where we add value. So sometimes if it's a creative idea, sometimes it's worthwhile to put it out there, especially if it's generally enlightening or generally supportive to the world. I think it's nice to have it out there, even if it's irrelevant. Like I'll post every once in a while something completely off my art feed because it's just relevant that day. Sure. I might get inspired by something that's completely different, but we don't always know how we inspire.
Right. That's true.
Yeah. So I'm just challenging that thinking too, because I do think there's our business and our marketing, but there's also that piece of humanity and connection that we're all seeking. And when we reach out with cool little things, we get that.
Super.
That's my philosophy.
Yeah.
Betty, what topics would be of interest to you?
Oh, any marketing topics right now since the pandemic. I've been working on Facebook and testing. So the last 3 weeks. And the first week I got one lead. The second week so I change every time. And last week I got like more than 10 leads. So people go to my website, put their email, phone number, and I'm very happy about it. And thank you, Evelyn, because Instagram was like 0 on my to-do list. And now I'm very curious about it. So I'm going to do it because sounds really cool. So I have been concentrating, focuses on Facebook until I get good at it. So now I know the topics and where I'm good at. So now I'm going to maybe Instagram, and I wanted to do like YouTube. I wanted to know more about YouTube. I want to.
Me too. I'm getting more familiar with that as I'm posting our videos.
So
I want to say, Betty, your industry is ideal for this stuff. So when we're feeling safer to be together as a group, you know, you and I are going to have to get coffee so I can show you some of the amazing things that I have friends in the real estate industry.
And I have a couple questions, so we have to make an appointment online because it's just like there's so much thing. It's just like, oh, I'm thrilled about it. Yeah. And I want to do like a virtual open house.
Right.
Yeah. So,
but you're sending out your mailers too, and they have great information. You can take slivers of that, and offer them an Instagram.
My booklet. I'm working on the booklet, the monthly booklet today, and I will send it out maybe tomorrow. Started tomorrow, so you will receive it. So if everybody can share, will be nice, because there's a lot of content and a lot of great stuff in it, and that's what I'm focused on.
And then you take a picture of it and you post it on your Instagram that posts to your Facebook that says it's out today, and if you didn't get a copy, here's where you need to go.
That's great. So I have to talk to you a little bit more. But I'm very excited about it. So YouTube videos is my next step. So after my booklet, for this month I'm done, then I get to YouTube. But every week I post a Facebook ad, and I'm pretty good. Yeah, now.
Very good. Very good.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Okay. Carl, you had an idea about people could offer a video or whatever and get some feedback. Is there something you'd like to put up so that we could give some feedback to something that you're doing?
No, I was just saying, because we all come to these things, but I was just kind of putting some of what we learned into practice, whether it's a small ad campaign or video or something. But
and Matt's not part of the group today, but he's managing our Facebook page, and that would be ideal for us to pre-post some of our video efforts to get feedback from the group. I mean, if we've got a Facebook group of people who have all been doing this, why not share in there and ask for ideas and feedback, so that we have a place to put it, because Zoom can be a little challenging with showing some of those things.
Yeah. Well, that's an idea. I can use. Okay, well, I think we're done, folks. And hopefully in another, 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, who knows, that we'll be able to do this live again.
Oh, that would be nice. Yeah, I miss you.
Yeah.
We miss you.
Yeah.
Well, have a beautiful week, everyone.
Wait, you said in a couple weeks we'll be back to face-to-face?
We're hoping.
Hopefully sooner rather than later.
Gotcha. Okay, perfect.
We need to check on locations and all that to see what they're willing to do.
Okay. All right.
Awesome.
Thank you, Evelyn. This was really good. Thank you.
It was great, Evelyn.
Thank you.
Great job.
Can't wait to watch the replay. I'm sorry I was late.
That's all right. It was nice. I got to use my teaching skills once again.
And that was great.
Yeah.
Good.
Have
a beautiful week.
Have a great day, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.